Hello friends, welcome to today's video, welcome to my channel, and let's get into it. So today we're going to be going over the Our Fantasy Reading Challenge. So this is a yearly challenge that comes out on the fantasy subsection of Reddit every year, and it's basically a bingo board of 25 prompts and a year-long challenge to try and fit them all. I've tentatively kind of started this in the past and never actually successfully completed it or did anything to hold myself accountable. So this is going to be my challenge to myself to actually do it for once, and I'm really excited about it. It's all about reading fantasy and sci-fi, my favorite genres, and something that maybe at times I need to challenge myself to pick up a little bit more. So this starts in April of every year. So I've read quite a few books already that actually do fit for these prompts, and I'll tell you about them as we go. But let's start diving into this bingo board, what all the prompts are, and what I'm planning on reading or have read for them. So I'll pop a picture of the bingo board up so you can see what we're actually going to be talking about. And yeah, now let's start looking at these books. So the first prompt that we have is first in a series, and this is just first in a series. So for everyone, these prompts also, there's a hard mode. I'm not bothering to hit that. I'm just setting it for myself that this is hard enough. So first in a series, I'm going to be going for The Blood of Elves this is book one in the very popular Witcher series, very popular games and Netflix show as well. But we're following a Witcher who's basically a monster hunter and him traveling through the world. I have been wanting to read this for so long now, and this will be the perfect excuse. Next, alliterative title. So this is a book where there's multiple words of the same, that start with the same letter. So for this one, I am doing Lies of Locke Lamora, which I have already read. So this is one that's completed, but we are basically just following a thief and his group of other thieves as they are completing a really elaborate heist. So one done. The next one is Under the Surface. So we're following to read a book that is set either entirely underground or underwater. And I did read one for this, which is Mind and Magic. This is a romance between a dwarf and a shadow demon, I think is what he is. So we're following a dwarf who's been cursed to remain underground at all times, and she's not able to see the sun. But there's this yearly competition that takes place in the mines in her community. And to win it this year, she would be able to win this Everstone that basically would grant her the power to break her curse and be able to go outside. So the entire plot of this book is following this competition that takes place underground and this romance between these two characters who are both competing and kind of fighting each other. Criminals read a book in which the main character is a criminal. Lies of Locke Lamora could have fit for this one, but I decided to go with A Tempest of Tea. This one, we're following a group of individuals who are completing a heist. We're in this world where vampires exist, and basically we are following main characters who own a tea house that caters in the day to humans and at night to vampire patrons. But this is illegal, and the only thing to save their tea house from being demolished and being destroyed is to help complete this heist that one of the Inquisitors brings to them. So that one is done as well. Next we have dreams. So there's some kind of dream involved in the book. Doesn't really not necessarily, I don't think has to be involved in the plot, but one that I've heard that has this and is a sequel, so I'll be finishing off a duology, is Ruthless Rivals by Rebecca Ross. So this is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. So this is the sequel to Divine Rivals. Really nice, good book that I enjoyed about two rival writers who kind of fall in love through this magical typewriter that they have, that they just write each other letters back and forth. And apparently in this one there is dreams that take place from one of the goddesses in the world comes to our main character. Next, entitled Animals. So it just has to be an animal in the title. It can also be a mythical animal. And I have one in this that I'm not 100% sure if this would be considered an animal. So I wrote down The Goblin Empire by Catherine Addison, and this is apparently a very interesting, dense, politically interesting kind of book, really about this guy becoming an empire in his life. Are goblins considered fantasy animals? I don't know. This is one that I might have to reconsider, and I might need to change up my option, but that is what I have right now, subject to change. If you have any other recommendations, or if you have an idea, if you think whether or not this will count, let me know. For bards, I read one also, and this was a graphic novel called The Baker and the Bard. This prompt just basically, they wanted a main character who is a bard. And yeah, Baker and the Bard, just a really cute, small, cute and short graphic novel about a baker and a bard who go on a little adventure together. So prologues and epilogues, just a book that has a prologue or an epilogue. I'm planning on reading Spark of the Everflame for this, but again, like this is one that pretty much any book will be able to fit into. So if I so choose, I can change this up. Spark of the Everflame is a fantasy romance that's been getting like a lot of traction online right now. So it's one that it makes me want to pick it up. I want to have this excuse to kind of force myself to do it. But at the same time, pretty much any fantasy or sci-fi book I pick up could fit for this potentially. So this is one subject to change. A self-published or indie published book. Again, this would be very easy. There's so many things on Kindle Unlimited that could fit in this. And this is one that can very much, I can fit in a lot of potential options. But what I am planning is The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang. I read her most recent release, which was Blood Over Braidhaven, and I think it's one of the best books I've read so far this year. So I want to go back and read like her previous book, which I think is her first release too, and it's another one of those that I've heard so many good things. Like I've heard literally nothing bad about it, so I really want to read it and see how much I'm gonna love it too. Romantasy, this is an easy category for me. I've read so many romantasy books already this year. I'm just gonna go with A River of Shadows by Karina Howe. This is one about a girl whose father is a shaman, and she basically follows him into the underworld after he goes there to bargain for his life. He has cancer and he's trying to extend his life, and she goes there to try and rescue him. Really enjoyed it. There's also like so many other books that I could have considered for this one. This was just at the time one of the most recent ones that I've read. For a dark academia book, I'm going to be reading The Atlas Complex by Ella V. Blake. This is book 3 in a dark academia series, and I think the final book, unless I'm mistaken. But basically we are following the 6 members of this Alexandrian society. Every year there are 6 new students selected to come in, and basically they are the best of the best in their areas of magic, and they're brought in to kind of just like, it's almost a fellowship where they study intensely for years. And of course things happen, things go differently, there's many secrets that they are not aware of. So I'll be reading book 3 in this one and potentially finishing off the series, which would be good. Multi-POV, I think this is supposed to be, okay, so it has to have at least 3 points of view of characters. This is going to be one that I will decide after the fact, after I've read a book and I know for sure it has 3 POVs. None are coming to mind at the moment, and that will just be easier to kind of like just do it as it comes, as I read one. Again, if you have any recommendations, let me know. We will see. We'll see. Like there's none that immediately popped to mind, and none that I 100% know have multiple POVs. So I think it's something that after I read, only then will I be able to determine. Published in 2024, there's The Jim Waits 100 Years. This came out in January of this year. So I already read this one, loved it. It's a very like haunting, beautiful gothic story about this house and all of the secrets that its inhabitants have. Really beautiful, and yeah, finished this one, worked perfectly. And for character with a disability, I've already read The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is fantastic as well. Gave it a 5 stars, highly recommend. Very much like a Sherlock and Watson-esque duo who solve this murder mystery in this magical world with like all of these different powers, these different creatures, these different things going on. Really good. So yeah, that one counts, I believe, for that. Published in the 1990s. So the one that I found, or that I thought to do, is Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is the second book in the Farseer trilogy. So it's the second book, like just in general in her world. So this one came out 1996. So this works perfectly. I have read book 1 in this Farseer world, really enjoyed it, but kind of have never bothered to pick up any more. Part of that is because my boyfriend and I are re-listening to the first book, so I listened to it by myself. Now we're listening to it together, and we only do it on like long road trips, but we have one coming up soon, so we will finish that book and then I will be able to get into the second one. The only issue might be is if he decides that he wants to listen to that one as well. It might take us a little while, but this is the plan for published in the 90s. Orcs, trolls, and goblins. So you just kind of have to have a book with either an orc, troll, or goblin as one of the main characters. I'm doing Forged by Magic. Actually, I already read it. forward by magic. And this is the romance between an orc mercenary and a elf blacksmith. The orc lands on this magical island and kind of starts helping out the blacksmith like compete in these magical games that happen every year on this island. The winner is granted like a magical boon, and he's kind of trying to do this to convince her that this island is a great place and like some place that she should potentially protect and keep safe. For a space opera, I've read Velocity Weapon. This is very much a space opera. It's very much all about space. Wow. But we're following the aftermath of this like huge interplanetary war. There's two timelines. One is during this war, we're following a keeper of the civilization as he's kind of dealing with everything that's happening. And then we're following one of the soldiers who's his sister. 200 years in the future, she wakes up like in a ship after stasis and is told that it's been hundreds of years since this war, and basically that they completely wiped out humanity and she is the only remaining survivor. This deals with like a crazy amount of politics, a lot of like intense space battles, a lot of like really like secret maneuvering behind the scenes. It was pretty good, but yeah, 100% space opera. Current plan for author of color is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This one, I don't know too much about it, but I hear a lot of people say that it's one of the really intense fantasy world and really like impressive, really like beautifully thought out kind of thing. I know I've read a few short story collections by him and loved every one of them, so I'm really going into this one anticipating that I will like it quite a bit. Survival, a book in which the primary goal and characters is to survive. So I'm doing three body problem. I think this is to do with an alien invasion. It's set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution. A secret military project sends signals into space to contact with aliens. An alien civilization on the brink of destruction captures a signal and plans to invade Earth. So I'm really excited to read this. I hear a lot of good things about this one. It's also recently become a Netflix TV show, so I want to read this and then be able to watch the show shortly afterwards. Judge a book by its cover. Pick a book basically entirely based on the cover. This one I'm going to do The Honey Witch. It's a fantasy romance, I believe, and the cover is very beautiful. There we go. Like that's literally it. The cover is beautiful, so why not just add this one? I want to pick it up because of that. For Set in a Small Town, I have Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison. This is about a cult in a small town. So a cynical 20-something must confront her unconventional family's dark secrets in this fiery, and so I think it's a young woman who left her home and then comes back to the small town and confronts this cult that has been in it. So I'm very excited. I like Rachel Harrison a lot. There's 5 SFF short stories. I'm going to be doing a short story collection called In These Hollowed Halls. It's a dark academia collection, but I do believe that it should fit within this realm. I believe that sometimes horror books can fit into this bingo as well, but also we'll see if there's any like fantastical horror type of element in it. But off the top of my head, that is the one that I will do. Otherwise, I might do a reread of one of my other favorite short story collections, maybe Out There by Kate Folk, or How High We Go in the Dark by Sakura Nagamatsu, like something like that I might reread instead, because you are allowed one reread in this challenge. Next is another one that I don't have a book set for. So it's Eldritch, I think that's how you say creature. So read a book that features a being that is uncanny. Unearthly, and weird. This can be a god or monster from another plane or realm and is usually beyond mortal understanding. So I don't have one set. I haven't really thought of one yet. I think maybe the Poppy War will fit based on kind of, or one of the sequels at least, based on kind of some of the spoilers I've seen. But at the same time, I don't really have anything set. So if you have any recommendations for this one, please let me know. I really am gonna have to like scour my shelves, I think, for this one to think of something, or this could be another one that like after I read a book, I realize that it works. One that I'm thinking potentially, if not the Poppy War or something in that series, the sequel to One Dark Window, which is Two Twisted Crowns. There's some kind of like nightmare being in that one, so maybe that could work. That might fit within this. We'll see. I might have to like do a little bit more research and see, but that is an option. So reference material, it's something that has like a material like a map, footnote, glossary, translation guide, dramatic personae, something like that. And I'm going to be doing the Black Tongue Thief because it has a map in it. Oh, well, that's a calendar, but it also does have a map. This is, so a thief, for following a thief, he owes the Takers Guild, which I guess is like a thief guild, a small fortune for his education, and he picks the wrong mark who paths along his trail. So he tries to steal from a knight and then finds his fate like entangled with this person. I think this is supposed to be pretty good, I hope, at least, but I own it anyways. One that I haven't really heard that many things about, if I'm being very honest, but I'm hoping it will be good. And final is like a book club book. So these are specifically any of the Reddit fantasy book clubs, any like past or active. And what I'm gonna do is these Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I own a copy, don't know where, but I do own a copy of this one. And I'm really, really excited to get to it. It's one I've been wanting to read for such a ridiculous amount of time now. And we're following like space travelers as they explore the world, I believe, or the universe at large. Really, really excited for that one. And I am excited overall for all of these books. So those were all 25 prompts, the books that I've read so far. So I've read eight books so far out of this, which is fantastic. Only 17 more to go. And I'm really excited about like pretty much all of these. I think that this is a fantastic challenge, a great way to kind of like motivate yourself to read more fantasy, sci-fi if you don't. And I'm really, really excited to get to all of these this year. So I'll probably do a mid-year check-in just to kind of see how many books I've crossed off, how I'm doing on my progress, and another video at the end of the year when I finish this. But so hopefully you're interested, hopefully you want to like follow along, and hopefully I will see you in some other videos. So again, please remember to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. So I will see you soon. Bye.